Hello and welcome, friends. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Dr. Howard. Welcome to the Liestream. I am your Heavenly Father, Kevin Williams. We are going to be taking a look today at an Axios interview with President Trump. You've probably seen little snippets of it. We're going to take a look at the whole thing, do some fact-checking on it, and just marvel at the fact that somehow we made this man President of the United States. Some nice tan lines going on, by the way. You can see how he's very orange right here. And then he fades a very sharp line. Looks like he might have gotten the bottom of his ear as well. Then his neck is bright pink. So you can see those very clearly right there. Hi, Bev. Good to see you. We're going to start this up in a second here. It looks like people are coming to the chat room. It looks like we are up on the Twitters and also on a couple of different Facebook pages. So welcome aboard, everybody. If you want to support this sort of thing, we call this the Liestream. You can go to kevinlyfather.com, become a patron right there, just like Phyllis did today or yesterday. Thank you, Phyllis, for becoming a patron of the arts. $1, $5, $28,000, whatever you see fit. Every little bit helps. And earlier in the last broadcast, we did a live stream of the President's News Conference, and I thanked everyone for making it possible for me to be back where I am right now. Things are coming together. Let's get going with this. I appreciate it. Hey, if you want to chat, the best place to do it is at youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. Here we go.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you taking the time, and we appreciate your commitment to answer.
No idea why he agreed to do this interview. None.
Answer our questions.
Sure.
I really appreciate that. Over the years, I've heard you talk about your adherence to a philosophy called positive thinking. This is the mantra that if you believe something, if you visualize it, then it will happen.
To an extent. I also think in terms of the downside.
Right.
I do. I've been given a lot of credit for positive thinking, but I also think about downside, because only a fool doesn't.
To what extent do you think that
So, neither, I guess.
positive thinking mindset is suitable to handling the worst pandemic that we've seen in a century?
I think you have to have a positive outlook. Otherwise, you would have nothing
But you also have to think about the downside.
without a positive outlook. I think we've done an incredible job between the ventilators and stopping very infected people from China coming in, meaning putting the ban on China, which frankly nobody wanted me to do. Practically nobody, because it was very early in January. Then putting the ban.
Okay, I'm going to stop him right there. No, everyone thought it would be a good idea. He often says, Dr. Fauci didn't want me to do it. But Dr. Fauci did. He often says, Dr. Birx came in, and she said, you can't do that. That's not the right thing to do. Dr. Birx wasn't even around until the end of February. This is the end of January. The ban went into effect, which wasn't a ban, because it had so many loopholes in it. It went into effect on February 2nd, so it was January 31st that they actually decided on the ban. Dr. Fauci's talked about it many times. He's never said, no, it wasn't a great idea. He didn't agree with it. But Trump seems to think that no one thought of that except him. They approached Trump and said, you should do this. And Trump said, okay. Everybody wasn't against it. In fact, I've been saving this puppy right here. This is Fauci talking about the travel ban.
You do. Is that the travel restrictions?
No, the travel restriction is separate. That was whether or not we wanted to go into a mitigation stage of 15 days of mitigation. The travel was another recommendation. When we went in and said, we probably should be doing that, and the answer was yes. And then another time was we should do it with Europe.
We went in and said we probably should be doing that, the travel ban. And the answer from Trump was yes. The question was about, is Trump arguing with you about the science all the time? And Fauci saying, no. We came in with the mitigation. He said yes. We came in with the travel ban. He said yes.
And the answer was yes. And the next time we should do it with the UK. And the answer was yes.
In this interview, you said there was...
So all of these ideas came from the scientists, not from Trump. Trump no one thought I should do it. Oh, everyone was at Dr. Fauci said I...
Pushback.
Yeah.
Where did that pushback come from?
No, it wasn't. And that was the wrong choice of words. You know what it was? When people discuss, not necessarily in front of the president, when people discuss, they say, well, this is going to have maybe a harmful effect on...
So this was after the travel ban actually went into effect. So you could say like, oh, Dr. Fauci's changing history. But is he? This is the day that the travel ban was decided on, before it was actually decreed. This is Dr. Fauci minutes before the travel ban was announced.
But we want to keep it at a low risk. And because there are so many unknowns here, we're going to take the action that the Secretary will describe in a temporary way to make sure we mitigate as best as we possibly can this
What
risk.
action?
The President has signed a presidential proclamation.
Here's the Secretary.
Using his authority pursuant to Section 212F of the Immigration and Nationality Act, temporarily suspending the entry into the United States of foreign nationals who pose a risk of transmitting the 2019 novel coronavirus.
That was the day before the travel ban, or actually the day the travel ban was announced, 2 days before the travel ban went into effect. So this whole, I came up with it, nobody else, everyone else thought it was, it's complete nonsense. We have video.
In Europe, not an easy thing to do. When you put a ban on Europe, that's a big thing. We would have probably lost hundreds of thousands of lives more had I not done that. And all of the experts, every one of them, not one of them wanted to do it. They thought it was too severe.
But they all suggested it. They didn't want to do it, but they all came in and suggested it, and Trump said yes.
3 months later, they're all saying, I'm glad you did it.
Because I asked you to.
The criticism of you that is most prominent is about the communication. Is the public health experts saying that it needs to be based in reality? And they're saying that the wishful thinking and the salesmanship is just not suitable at a time when a pandemic has killed 145,000 Americans. And it's that I understand what you're saying, that people need to hear positive thinking. But, you know, for the past 5 months, it's been the virus is totally under control.
Yep.
And the cases have been going up and the deaths have been going up.
Look.
But you've been saying it's under control.
Nobody knew what this thing was all about. This has never happened before. 1917, but it was a totally different, it was a flu in that
1918.
case, okay? But other than 1917, there's never been anything like this. And by the way, if you watch the fake news on television, they don't even talk about it. But you know, there are 188.
Hey, we might be getting close to 100 times that he's actually claimed it was 1917. He's in the 90s now. We got to start paying attention. We're going to have a party.
There are the countries right now that are suffering, some proportionately far greater than we are, okay? As bad as we are.
Very few.
Some proportionately greater than we are. Right now, Spain is having a big spike. There are tremendous problems in the world. You look at Moscow, look at what's going on with Moscow, look at Brazil, look at these countries, what's going on. This was sent to us by China, one way or the other, and we're never going to forget it. Believe me, we're never going to forget it. And we were beating China at every single point. We were beating them on trade. We were making progress like nobody's ever made progress. They had, before the pandemic, they had the worst year.
Let's just check that. We're just going to check that because he said Spain and Russia were having terrible times, terrible spikes compared to the United States. Okay, so we know that he uses our world in data. Here's our world in data. This is cases per million people. Not, oh, we're a bigger country, so we have more cases. Here's the United States. Well, let's start with Russia. You can tell that the darker the color, the worse they are. So Russia, which is a nice lavender, 35 new cases per day, per million. Over in Spain, they're getting hit pretty hard, 123 per million. The United States, chalk on another 50% higher, 173.79 cases per million, per capita. Not just because you're a bigger country. So Spain and Russia having a much better time than the United States during this pandemic. Let's get rid of that, and we'll go right back to the interview.
Jonathan, that they've had in 67 years. You know that, with the tariffs and everything else I did.
Hold on.
Jonathan, that they've made progress. They had before trade. We were making progress like nobody's ever made progress. This was sent to us by China.
I don't know if I missed something there. Let me go back just a second here, folks.
We are. Right now, Spain is having a big spike.
Okay, no.
There are tremendous problems in the world. You look at Moscow, look at what's going on with Moscow, look at Brazil, look at these countries, what's going on. This was sent to us by China, one way or the other, and we're never going to forget it. Believe me, we're never going to forget it.
We're going to forget you.
And we were beating China at every single point.
We're never going to forget it, says the guy who can't remember the year of the 1918 flu pandemic.
We were beating them on trade. We were making progress like nobody's ever made progress. They had, before the pandemic, they had the worst year, Jonathan, that they've had in 67 years.
It's 27 years, and that's when they started keeping track of stuff like that. Their goal was to hit 6 to 6.5% GDP. They hit 6.1. They still hit with it, even with all these tariffs. The worst year was 6.1% GDP. Trump's last quarter was 2.1% GDP.
You know that, with the tariffs and everything else I did, we were taking in billions of dollars.
Well, I'm waiting for one of the interviewers when he says, you know that better than anybody, to say, no, I don't know that because it's not reality.
I was giving some of it to the farmers. The farmers were doing well because they were targeting the farmers. I was targeting China. We were doing good. Then all of a sudden the game changed and I had to close it down. I closed down the greatest economy ever in history. Well, wait.
Wasn't even close. Again, our GDP was 2.1%. Manufacturing was in a contraction. GDP was on the way down. Now the GDP, regardless of before the virus, after the virus, the fact of the matter is we're in reality right now, and GDP year over year is down 33%. It's on its way back up now, and he'll claim victory, and I'm rebuilding the economy. No, we're opening the economy up, and look what happens when you open the economy up. Flashback, here it comes. I'm going to try and keep it on this page. I did it! We're in the worst color. Violet? Purple? Somebody who knows colors, tell me what color that is. Bio maroon? Whatever it is, we're not doing well. Let's see if we can find anybody. Maybe Brazil's doing worse than us. We're doing better than Brazil, folks. Who else? Nope, South Africa's better. Kazakhstan is kicking our ass. Iraq looking good. So Spain, Philippines. Come on, Peru, help us out, Peru. Peru is doing worse than we are, 205. So Peru, Brazil, Colombia's beating us. Argentina's beating us. Bolivia, beating us. Bolivia, you, me. We're in bad shape. Back to Trump.
Yeah. And then I
Plum.
closed it down, and now we're opening it. And we saved, by the way, by closing it down, we saved millions of lives. If we would have gone to herd, and we knew very little about the disease, if we would have gone...
Nobody was suggesting herd except this guy. Hold on that.
Herd, we would have lost millions of people. Millions of people. One person's too much. We're at 140,000 people. One person is too much. We're at 140.
The only guy I heard suggesting that we go herd was this guy.
Advisors in your decision to leave the guidelines in place until the end of April?
No, and this is before we heard the 2.2 million people. We had a lot of people were saying maybe we shouldn't do anything. Just ride it. They say ride it like a cowboy.
Nobody said that.
Just ride it. Ride
it like a cowboy.
That's where the 2.2 million people come in.
This is him being a cowboy.
Maybe. But it would have been 1.6 to 2.2. And that's not acceptable. But there were a lot of people that said, I thought about it. I said, maybe we should ride it through. You know, you always hear about the flu. I talk about it all the time. We had a bad flu season. We're in the midst of a bad flu season. You know, we had a bad season last year, as an example, a bad flu season. And you'll have 35, 36, 37,000 people die, sometimes more, sometimes less. But this is different, and part of this is the unknown. And part of it also is the viciousness of it. I had a friend who went to a hospital the other day. He's a little older, and he's heavy.
Enough of this. Back to the interview. Anyway, he was saying we should ride it like a cowboy. Oh, crap. I went back. Hold on. Maybe this will get us back to where we were. Does it?
A month later, month and a half, 2 months later, but it was a good area. We had a tremendous crowd. We had 120 Black Lives Matter.
Hold on.
Contagious
I'm not, but the question is, Mr.
Millions of people.
Okay.
One person's too much. We're at 140,000 people. One person is too much. We're at 140. We would have lost millions of people. And those
Wait a minute.
people that
What did
really
he say?
understand it, and we knew very little about the disease, economy
Let's go back.
ever in history. Well, wait, and then I closed it down.
Yeah.
And now we're opening it. And we say, by the way, by closing it down, we saved millions of lives. If we would have gone to herd, and we knew very little about the disease, if we would have gone herd, we would have lost millions of people, millions of people. One person's too much. We're at 140,000 people. One person is too much.
We're at 160,000 people. But this was 2 days ago that this interview happened. And why Jonathan doesn't correct him on that, I don't know. But yeah, 100 he just downplayed it by 20,000 people.
We're at 140. We would have lost millions of people.
160.
And those people that really understand it, they really understand it, they said it's incredible the job that we've done. And again, I bring it up.
Who says that?
Who says, thank you.
Banning China from
Who says that?
But it was already in here by
What's
the time.
that?
It was already here. Like by the time you banned China, it
It was
came in
there,
through
but
Europe.
nobody knew the extent. Nobody knew how contagious
I'm
it
not.
was.
But the
You
question
know
is,
that?
Mr. President,
Maybe China knew.
by June, we knew things were bad. And you know, the last time I was with you was the day before your Tulsa rally in the Oval, and you know, you were saying big, huge crowd. It was indoors.
By the way,
these people, they
it
listen
was
to
a
you.
big- excuse me, Jonathan.
Yeah.
We had a 19,000 seat stadium. First of all, we had 12,000 people, not 6,000, which you reported and other people.
They didn't have 12,000 people. 12,000 people was a rough estimate that somebody gave wow, it looks like probably 12,000 people here. Somebody with the campaign said that, which was really bad considering that they'd gotten rid of 1 million tickets, 12,000 out of 1 million. There's no way to figure that percentage. It's 0.0012. I don't know. That's just spitballing. Anyway, the fire marshal then came out and said, no, there were 6,700 people there. They have turnstiles. They can keep track of that. 62, 6,700. I forget which one of them includes staff, one of them doesn't, or something like that. Anyway, the stadium was empty. The entire upper deck was empty. We all saw it.
Report.
But the thing was, he asked, well, who is saying that? And these people follow you, etc. And then he's interrupted. Excuse me.
Couldn't even get in. It was like an armed camp.
Why would you have wanted
that?
that?
120 Black Lives Matter people.
I understand, but why would you have wanted a huge crowd?
Excuse me, wait. And Tulsa, well, because that area was a very good area at the time. It was an area that was
Cases
pretty
were
much
stopped.
over. After a month
No.
later, it started going up.
No, not a month later. Remember, the Department of Health in Tulsa said, please don't come. Please don't have your rally here.
That's a month later. But Tulsa was a very good. Oklahoma was doing very well as a state. It was almost free. It spiked a month later, month and a half, 2 months later, but it was a good area. We had a tremendous crowd. We had tremendous response. You couldn't even, it was like an armed camp. You couldn't even get through. You couldn't get anybody in.
But I'm
we
talking
had
about
12,000 people. It was incorrectly reported. The other thing we had that nobody wants to talk about, so Fox broadcast it. It was the highest rating in the history of Fox television, Saturday night. It was the highest rating.
Mr. President.
My speech, well, wait a minute, you're saying something.
Yeah.
That speech was the highest rated speech in the history of Fox television on Saturday night. And nobody says that.
I think you misunderstand me. I'm not criticizing your ability.
The highest rated on Saturday night. Who watches Fox News on a Saturday night? I mean, yeah, we beat out Judge Janine and Waters World and the Greg Gutfeld show. Like, woo! We're the greatest.
Ability to draw a crowd. Are you kidding me? I've covered you for 5.
Hold on. What I want to do, I want you guys to hold on just a second. So hold your horses because we're going to take a look at that. What day was that? That was somebody check quickly. What day was the Trump rally? And I'll pull this up here. We're going to fact check this because we can. I can't do it there. Give me a second. Okay, somebody pull up what day it was. 24th, 27th, something like that. Somebody pull up the Trump rally for me. And then I will pull this over here. And June 20th, thank you. Are you sure on that, Marcy? June 20th? Good enough. So here's June 20th. Right here, there was Arizona. Sorry, well, we're going to Oklahoma. So give me a second here. Oh, man, Arkansas is in bad shape. 20th, yeah. So here we are right here. Let me get out of the way. I'm going to pull it up. There we go. Right here. So the 20th right here, the ramp had already begun. So remember, we looked at this was up here at the time because the graph was so much lower. So they were getting, oh my goodness, look, they've gotten 200 cases, then 400 cases on the 21st. They're right at about 400 cases, and then boom. Yes, you're absolutely right. Right next to Juneteenth. Thank you, Marcy. Absolutely true. Nell, you're absolutely correct. I sit corrected. And then, yeah, but no, this was, look at how flat this all is. Suddenly they doubled. Then they doubled again almost, and that's when he had the rally. So this whole, it was on the way down. Complete bullshit. People died because of this. People died because of the Trump rally. Herman Cain is no longer with us. Is it directly because of the Trump rally? You can't say that for certain. 96% probability. I don't know. It's just sad. Just sad. I have no affinity for Herman Cain. But as a human being, it saddens me that a life was lost completely needlessly, whether there or somewhere else, because he was apparently crisscrossing the country and never wearing his mask. Get on to, if you want to comment quickly, the best way to do it is on the YouTube. So youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. In fact, I'll send you a direct link to this particular broadcast. I'll put it in the chats, and hopefully it goes to everybody, and then you can click on it. Let's see how that works. I just did it. Here it comes. Thanks to everyone who's watching but isn't in the chat room as well. You're welcome. I can see you out there, and those who are watching delayed as well. I'm going to put this up as a regular YouTube video for those of you who are interested in fact checks. So can you click on that? I don't think... Let's see. Yeah, you should be able to click on that link, and that'll bring you to the YouTube page. If you're already on the YouTube page, watching it in YouTube chat, don't click that. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a joke there that I can't tell because it's too soon. Here we go.
5 years, you draw massive crowds, you get huge ratings. I'm
This is
asking about the
interesting.
public crowd.
And nobody says that.
I think you misunderstand me. I'm not criticizing your ability to draw a crowd. Are you
Well,
kidding me?
I'm
I've
just
covered you
saying
for
this.
5 years. You draw massive
I'm just
crowds, you
saying
get huge
this.
ratings. I'm asking about the
At the
public
time-
health.
Nice. This is a compliment, and that's what you want to get on Trump's good side. Give him compliments, and Jonathan actually does that quite well. I do know why they agreed to this interview, because Jonathan has he calls spade a spade, and he compliments, which might be a racist comment, by the way. That's up in the air. Nobody knows. Anyway, that's us. Apropos of nothing. Jonathan will compliment Trump on stuff like this, and all Trump hears is the compliment. Like when you tell your dog, if you're a very good boy, I might go to the cupboard and get you some treats. All the dog hears is its name, good boy, and treats. Same thing with Trump. He just filters out all the extraneous information that might be critical.
And I canceled another one. I had to cancel it. We're
Right.
going to have a great crowd in New Hampshire, and I canceled it for the same reason.
But here's the question. I've covered you for a long time. I've gone to your rallies. I've talked to your people.
Good
They
job,
love
Kate.
you. They listen to you. They listen to every word you say. They hang on your every word. They don't listen to me or the media or Fauci. They think we're
Yeah.
fake news. They want to get their advice from you. And so when they hear you say everything's under control, don't worry about wearing masks, I mean, these are people, many of them are older people,
What's
Mr.
your
President.
definition of control? Yeah, under the
It's giving them a false sense
circumstances
of
right
security.
now.
What's your definition of control? I can tell you one of my definitions of control. I'll bring it up right here. I will help you with the control issue. We're going to pull up covidexitstrategy.org, which is one of my favorite sites. Right there. Oh, you know what? I can just leave it up here. Here, let's do it this way so that I don't have to drag and drop. Boom. When all of those states are yellow or green, yay for us. That means control. Right now, bring that down. Let's see what the maroon means. It means uncontrolled spread. When you're above 5% positivity rate, you're in uncontrolled spread. And COVID exit strategy is generous about this too. This is not a liberal website by any means. This is just based on numbers. We can take a look here. California, positivity rate going down. That's very good. Still at 6%. Let's see. Nevada went down and then back up again. Texas, down and then back up again. They went down and, oh my God, everything's getting better. Look how good Texas is getting. Look how good Florida is getting. Look how good Arizona is making progress. New Mexico, Arizona making progress. But what happens is that everybody then goes right back outside and to the bars and has fun, and we start going up again. That's what happens. We're at the point now, folks, with testing where we can fairly well track. We can't do enough tests. There's no such thing as enough tests in this situation. But at least we can get a pretty good handle of what's going on. And what we know from the testing is all these states are in bad shape.
I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How?
Under the
It's giving them a false sense of
right
security.
now, I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. But that doesn't mean we aren't doing everything.
Jesus Christ. 1,000 Americans are dying a day. They're dying, it's true. It is what it is. But we've got it under control. It is what it is. Which is an expression, I don't know about you folks, but I fucking hate that expression. Because it takes away all responsibility, and you know what? Tough luck. Tough shit. Hey, yes, 1,000 Americans are tough shit. That's all it's exactly the same thing. But it's not as under control as it could be under control. We still don't have enough tests. We still don't have fast tests in the schools, at businesses.
Everything we can. It's under control as much as you can control it.
We are not doing everything that we can. There is no national plan. This is a series of patchwork based on what the political beliefs of the governors happen to be. 15 of the top 17 states in terms of positivity, led by Republican governors.
This is a horrible plague that beset us.
You really think this is as much as we
Beset
can control?
us.
1,000 deaths a day?
I'd like to know if somebody, first of all, we have done a great job. We've gotten the governors everything they needed. They didn't do their job. Many of them didn't, and some of them did. Someday we'll sit down, we'll talk
Okay, governors are still out there saying we don't have enough material.
about the successful ones, the good ones. Look at that smile. The good ones and the bad. We had good and bad. And we had a lot in the middle. But we had some incredible...
Jonathan smiling?
I could tell you right now who the great ones are and who the not so great ones are.
Okay, so tell us.
But the governors do it. We gave them massive amounts of material.
Mr. President, you changed your message this week in terms of you cancelled the Jacksonville Convention. You said wear a mask. You're saying, that it's going to get worse
sorry, guys.
before it
Hold
gets
on.
better. It's not something you like to say. I know you said that. The
By
big
way,
question...
not get worse like the original flow. You understand that. But
Well, I hope
it will
not.
get
It's
worse.
1,000.
Now, if you look, Arizona's going down.
If I could just finish my question.
Texas is going down, and Florida's going down.
The question is, are you going to, even some of your own aides wonder whether you would stick to that message until election day, whether in a week or two you won't say, right, we've got to reopen again, we can't do this stuff anymore, that you'll get bored of talking about the virus and go back to that sort of cheerleading?
I never get bored. I never get bored of talking about this. It's too big a thing. And again,
So will you stick to that message?
It could have been stopped by China. It should have been stopped by China, and it wasn't.
But now it's here,
We
and
have
you're the
it
president.
here. And I think I'm
You're the
very
leader.
consistent. No, this is a very serious thing. Do you think we have 140,000 people at this moment? This is a
160.
very, very serious situation. And what you have to do is handle it the best it can be handled. And again, I'm working with the governors. I got them tremendous amounts of equipment that they would have never gotten. Jonathan, they wouldn't have equipment now if I didn't get it.
When can you...
That's how the fucking system works. That's your job, to get them the equipment that they need. And you still haven't gotten them all the equipment that they need.
You commit, by what date, that every American will have access to the same day testing that you get here in the White House?
Well, we have great testing. We're doing, and
By
many
what
other
date?
people do. Let me explain the testing. We have tested more people than any other country, than all of Europe put together times 2. We have tested more
China has done more testing than we have.
people than anybody ever thought of. India has 1.4 billion people. They've done 11 million tests. We've done 55. It'll be close to 60 million tests. And, there are those that say you can test.
India's done 20 million tests. He keeps saying India's done 11 million tests. They've done 20 million. You can see it right there. 20 million. At the time of this interview, it was 19.5 million. Just say 20 million.
Too much. You do know that.
Who says that?
Oh, just read the manuals, read the books.
This is ridiculous. I saw this part already. I haven't watched this whole interview, but there's parts of it that are just so profane in terms of their lack of intelligence that they've been floating around already.
You can test too much. You do tests.
Okay.
And, there are those that say you can test too much. You do know that.
Who says
Who
that?
says that?
Oh, just read the manuals, read the books.
Manuals?
Read the manuals. Jonathan's awesome here. She's like, manuals? What manuals? Manuals on coronavirus? Who is saying this?
Read the books.
manuals?
Read the books.
What books?
What testing?
books?
Sorry, wait a minute. Justin. Let me explain. What testing does? It shows cases. It shows where there may be cases.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to stick with the what books, what manuals. I wish that he did. I hope that he does, because I haven't seen this part. I just saw that. But
Other countries test. You know when they test? They test when somebody's sick. That's when they test. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Nobody's done it like we've done it. We've gotten absolutely no credit for it. But we've come up with so many different tests. The only thing that we have now is some people have to wait longer than we'd like them to.
It's a big problem.
We want point to point. We want to have a 5-minute to a 15-minute test.
When
Yeah,
do
so
you think?
And
what
many
day?
others.
Every
From what
American.
I understand, we're close to 50%.
When do you
sorry, I interrupted. But he's asking exactly the right question. Jonathan's doing a fantastic job with this interview.
We have, and like many others.
Every
From what
American.
I understand, we're close to 50% where it's point-to-point test. We are making thousands of instruments, thousands of tests right now, tens of thousands that can be distributed to various parts of the country. But you have to understand, and we've even sent some of them to other countries where they had a big problem. Jonathan, almost 50%, in fact,
I think it's confusing tests with ventilators, but it could be that like other countries are getting Abbott machines, which shouldn't be the case. I'm all about yay everybody in the world, but the quick test should be coming out here first. It's an American company making an American product. The Defense Production Act should have been enacted on this, not enacted, whatever. Back at the beginning with PPE, the Abbott tests, the antibody test, all of it. We should have been ramping up all over the country.
I think the number might be over, is immediate testing. The other's tough. You take a test, you have to send it to a laboratory. Let's say that takes a day. Let's say it's a day.
It's difficult.
So it's 3 or 4 or
understand.
5 days. There's nothing you do about that.
But when do you think we will have?
Yeah, you can get them more employees. You could send the National Guard to the laboratories. You could send the military to the laboratories to help them out with their testing. You could buy more Roche machines. There's a number of things you could have done in the past. You could have had a test that worked back in February. And we wouldn't be anywhere near 140,000 dead. 160,000 dead right now.
Have it for
I
everyone.
think that you
What
will
day?
have that relatively soon. I mean, again,
What does that mean?
you already have half.
Relatively soon.
I would much rather get back to you because I don't
Okay.
want to have you
That's
write
fine.
in 1 month.
That's
I
fine.
didn't make it. I missed it by
Yeah,
a day,
I
and
get
it's
it.
a headline.
Mr. President, I want to talk about the federal intervention.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
one thing I would say about
Yeah.
testing. Because we test so much, we
Reciprocal is Trump's favorite word.
show cases. So we show many, many cases. We show tremendous number of. I know you're smiling when I say that.
No,
but
but
I'm
come on. I
telling
mean, I've heard you say
Because you're an idiot.
you. Other countries don't test like we do,
you know
so they don't show cases.
just a couple of points on that. I wasn't going to continue on the testing, but you said it. So we're testing so much because it's spread so far in America.
We're
And
testing
when you
so much because we had the ability to test.
Okay,
Because we came up with
but
tests.
South Korea-
Jonathan, we didn't even have a test. When I took over, we didn't even have a test.
Because COVID didn't exist, you fucking moron.
Now, in all fairness,
why would you have a
there
test?
was no test.
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a
Excuse me, I was
test?
going to say,
Okay.
there was no test
What?
for this. No test.
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a
Excuse me, I was
test?
going to say,
Okay.
there was.
What?
How would you have a
There was
test?
no test.
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a
Excuse me, I was
test?
going to say,
Okay.
there was.
He's just not even using words anymore. Just the general tone of, hold on, I'm going to explain it.
Why would you
There
have a
was
test?
no test.
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a
Excuse me, I was
test?
going to say,
Okay.
there
What is he saying? Can anyone understand what he's saying there? Saying.
Why would you have a
was
test?
no test.
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a
Excuse me, I was
test?
going to say,
Okay.
there was no test for this. We didn't have a test because there was no test.
Of course.
In a very short order, we got one test, we got another test.
He just gave it to me. I'm just going to take that and GIF it and just have it on an endless GIF.
Because there was.
Okay.
The fairness,
Okay,
why would you
one more
have a-
time.
We didn't even have a test. When I took over, we didn't even have a test. Now, in all fairness,
why would you have a test?
There was no test.
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a test?
I was going to say,
okay.
There was no test for this. No, we didn't have a test because there was no test.
Of course.
In a very short order, we got one test. We got a.
So before you had a test, you didn't have a test. That is progress. Next week we're going to work on object permanence.
Another test.
It was broken the first
Many
one.
of those tests are now obsolete because we've, it's called science, and all of a sudden something's better. But because we tested so many people.
Oh, I wish Jonathan had hammered him on the original test being obsolete, because that's what screwed us up. The reason we have so many dead is because we didn't test in February. By March 12th, which is the date they are now saying, we've got 32,000 times the number of tests. March 12th, we didn't even have 20,000 tests done.
55, 60 million.
I'll get you those exact figures.
People very soon. We get cases. You test, some kid has even just a little runny nose, it's a case. And then you report many cases. So we look like we have more cases than massive countries like China, which, by the way, doesn't report, as you know.
Well, I don't put any stock in China's figures.
The point is,
It doesn't put any stock in China's figures, but we know that China has done at least that many tests, at least as many tests that we have, because they are doing batch testing with, I'm going to drag this out of the way, sorry. They're doing batch testing with 25 people at a time. Here, let's go back to March 11th, March 12th, which is what they keep harping on about on this screen right here. Again, I got to get out of the way for the United States. Here's South Korea. March 12th, South Korea had produced 222,000 tests. The United States is somewhere down in this mess right here with Senegal. United States, only 13,000 tests. Russia had done, Germany had done more. That's when we needed to test. This is South Korea, up. The United States got the virus the same day.
Because we are so much better at testing than any other country in the world, we show more cases.
The figure I look at is death. And death is going up now.
Okay,
and it's 1,000 a day.
If you look at death...
Yeah, it's going up again.
Let's look.
Daily death.
Take a look at some of these charts.
I'd love to.
We're going to look.
Let's look.
And if you look at death...
It's started to go up again.
One. Well, right here, the United States is lowest. In numerous categories, we're lower than the world.
Lower than the world?
Lower than...
What does that
mean? Lower than the world.
In what?
Look.
In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad. Much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
You can't do that.
Why can't I do that?
You have to go by where... Look, here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. The cases
Why
are
not
dead.
as a proportion of population?
When we have somebody... What it says is when you have somebody that where there's a case, the people that live from those cases.
It's surely a relevant statistic to say if the US has X population and X percentage of death of that population versus South Korea.
No, because you have to go by the cases.
Well, look at South Korea, for example. 51.
No, we're not going to talk about death. You have to go by the cases. You have to go by the cases.
1 million population, 300 deaths. It's like, it's crazy compared to...
You don't know that.
I do. It's on
You don't know that.
You think they're faking their statistics? South Korea?
I
An
won't
advanced
get into
country?
that because I have a very good relationship with the country. But you don't know that. And they have spikes. Look, here's
Germany
one.
low, 9,000?
Here's one.
South Korea hasn't had spike. They've got 301 deaths. That was a couple of days ago. They could have 302, 303 by now.
Right here, United States. You take the number of cases.
Okay.
Now look.
Here's one right here. United States. Reads it off the graph. I can't read that. I don't know what he's holding up there. It's got to be mortality rate or something.
We're last, meaning we're first.
Last? I don't know what we're first in. As a what?
Take a look again.
Hold on. Let me see. Zoom in here.
Meaning we're first.
Last? I don't know what we're first in.
One more time. Sorry, guys.
You take the number of cases. Now look, we're last, meaning we're first.
Last? I don't know what we're first in.
It is an Our World in Data chart. I don't know which chart he's looking at there. I haven't come across one. But what's happened there is that when you do those bar graphs in Our World in Data, they go this way on your screen, there'll be many bars. But then you eliminate a whole bunch of countries that you don't want. I've shown you guys how to do that before. You get to pick and choose which countries you want to see on their graphs, and the information comes out of the CDC Europe, so it's a valid source. And as you eliminate, some bars get bigger. So that's only 4 countries. So they cherry-picked 4 countries and gave it to the president and said, look, Mr. President, look how much better we're doing than Bahrain, Senegal, whoever the countries happen to be that they cherry-picked. I can't read what countries those are. If you guys know what that is, let me know. I just want to go back and replay that entire section right there. Sorry, that's too big right there. Let me adjust it. Give me a second here. I'm just gonna. How do I do that? I can adjust it like this. Give me a second. Sorry, it's too big right now. I just want to put it back on the screen so that we all can see it. There we go. I hate technicalities like this, guys, but this is what you have to do sometimes. Okay, I just want to replay that entire section, and we will. Stay with me just for a second here, guys. Okay, no, come back. I wish I had this set up for you, but I don't. So, okay, this should work right here. Let's just watch that on replay, that whole section with the paper.
Take a look at some of these charts. In numerous categories, we're lower than the world. Let me explain. Well, the test right here, take a look. You can test too much. You do know that. What it says is when you have somebody that has it, where there's a case, it will last. No, but you're not reporting it correctly. We have cases. This is our testing, I believe. This is the testing, yeah. Yep. Check it out. New cases, new cases, new cases. The top one, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. We test more. We have. Now take a look. Death is way down from where it was. Take a look at this. These are the tests. It leveled out and it's going down. But you have to look at this. This is, excuse me, where it was is much higher than where it is right now. But you don't know that. That's my report as of yesterday. Wait a minute. You have to go by where, look, here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. What's called science. We have more cases. Don't we get credit for that? Well, we show more cases. They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. Now it's going down again. And, you know, there are those that say the world is so very, just read the manuals, read the book. This one didn't reach my desk.
Just brilliant. I love that. Love that. Lincoln Project tweeted that out and asked, who is this? So I don't think they put it together. They might have. I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but I wanted to share that with you guys. And there was another great one with Martin Short that I don't have ready access to, but if one of you has it, let me know. Here we go. Let's go back to the real thing.
Take a look. Okay. Again, it's cases.
Okay.
And we have cases because of the testing.
1,000 Americans are dying a day, but I understand on cases it's different.
No, but you're not reporting it correctly, Jonathan.
I think I am, but...
If you take a look at this other chart, look, this is our testing, I believe. This is the testing, yeah.
Yeah, we do more tests.
No, wait a minute. Well, don't we get credit for that? And because...
Okay, so that is the Our World in Data chart, and he is not showing you guys... I can bring that chart up because I have the same chart, or I can't. I can. He is not showing you guys all the countries on the chart because they always eliminate Russia. They just don't want to see it. Here it is right here. So, it looks like they've eliminated India from that chart as well. Let me go back on it.
Testing, yeah.
Yeah, we do more tests.
No, wait a minute. Well, don't we get...
Yeah, there's nobody else in there. So India has been eliminated from that chart as well. Here's what the chart should look like. Let me get out of the way. See, you've got Russia and India about halfway down underneath the United States. Now look at what they handed him. Russia and India are just gone from that chart. Kayleigh McEnany or whomever else is in charge of handing him things, handed him a chart with Russia and India eliminated. So he feels so positive about what the United States is doing. And they tell, maybe they've even manipulated it so that India only has 11 million. Yeah, that looks like it's just above 11 million. That's the here on this page. Boom. That's the 10 million line right there, and there's nobody. There should be India right here and Russia right there. Boy. But this is the third world. We're living in the third world.
Credit for that, and because we do more tests, we have more cases. In other words, we test more. Now take a look. The top one, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
We have cases whether we test or not. We know about them if we test.
The top, Jonathan.
If
he's holding it up
hospital rates
now.
were going down and deaths were going down, I'd say terrific. You deserve to be praised for testing, but they're all going up.
They very rarely talk.
60,000 Americans are in hospital.
If you watch the
1,000
news
dying
or
a
read
day.
the papers, they usually talk about new cases, new cases, new cases.
I'm talking about death.
Well, you look at
going
death.
up.
Death is way down from where it was.
It's 1,000 a
Death.
day. It was 2,500. It went down to 500. Now it's going up again.
Excuse me, where it was is much higher than where it is right now.
Went down and it went up again.
But now it's going down again. It's going
up.
down in Arizona. It's going down in Florida.
Look at him just holding up the paper, giving Jonathan the finger as he does so, just holding it up.
It's going down in Texas. Take a look at this. These are the tests.
It's going down in Florida?
That's a fake chart. That's literally what it is when you eliminate other countries. That's what the chart should look like. Take a look at the chart in his hand.
Yeah, it leveled out and it's going down. That's my report as of yesterday.
Anyway, Mr. President, if I could change subject.
It is going
Hold
down
on,
in
I think they've actually...
Arizona it is.
as of yesterday.
Anyway, Florida?
Yeah, it leveled out and it's going down. That's my report as of yesterday.
Anyway, Mr. President, if I could change subject.
It is going down in Arizona.
Arizona it is. Arizona it is. Texas has big
spiked,
problems.
And it spiked and it's now going down in Florida. It's evened out and going down in Florida.
Yeah, I know. Where's his Sharpie?
But you have to look at this.
He
This
can
is
fix
the
this
number
all
of tests
himself.
compared to
I
the
don't
rest
deny
of
your
the world.
figures. You've done more tests by far than the rest
Right.
of the world. I don't
And
deny
because
that.
we've done more tests,
Except
we have more
China.
cases.
You have
can take
more
that back.
advantages.
Check it out.
Mr.
You
President,
can take that.
Different subject. It's been widely reported that the US has intelligence indicating that Russia paid bounties or offered to pay bounties to Taliban fighters to kill American soldiers. You had a phone call with Vladimir Putin on July 23rd. Did you bring up this issue?
No, that was a phone call to discuss other things, and frankly, that's an issue that many people said was fake news.
Who said
That
it was
a
fake news?
I think a lot of people, if you look at some of the wonderful folks from the Bush administration, some of them, not any friends of mine, were saying that it's a fake issue. But a lot of people said it's a fake issue.
There was
Well,
dispute
we had a
within the
call
intelligence.
talking about nuclear proliferation, which is a very big subject, where they would like to do something and so would I. We discussed numerous things. We did not discuss that, no.
And you've never discussed it with him.
I have never discussed it with him, no. I would. I'd have no problem with it.
But you don't believe the
it
intelligence.
never
It's because
got
you
to
don't
me.
believe the intelligence. That's why.
Everything, it's interesting. Nobody ever brings up China. They always bring Russia, Russia, Russia. If we can do something with Russia in terms of nuclear proliferation, which is a
Right.
very big problem, bigger problem than global warming, a much bigger problem than global warming in terms of the real world, that would be a great thing.
But just-
Nuclear proliferation being a much bigger problem than global warming in terms of the real world. First off, they're both terrible problems. Secondly, global warming is a much bigger problem because it's happening. Nuclear proliferation, a nuclear bomb may never be set off. Global warming is actually happening as we sit here. So I'm going to say global warming is a much bigger problem than nuclear proliferation right now because nobody's using the nukes.
never reached my desk. You know why? Because they didn't think it was intelligence. They didn't think
It did reach his desk on February 27th, 28th. We know that.
it was real.
It was in
They
your
didn't
written
think-
brief, though,
They didn't think it was worthy of. I wouldn't mind if it reached my desk. I would have done something about it. It never reached my desk because
Do you read your written brief?
I do. I
Do you?
read a lot.
Really?
You know, I read a lot. They like to say I don't read. I read a lot.
Your daily
I
intelligence
comprehend
brief?
extraordinarily well. Probably better than anybody that you've interviewed in a long time. I read a lot. I spend a lot of
What does he
time
do?
with-
Handle the intelligence?
Your daily
I
intelligence
comprehend
brief?
extraordinarily well.
Oh,
Like you said,
comprehend,
I read.
yeah.
I read a lot.
Your daily
I
intelligence
comprehend
brief?
extraordinarily well.
He does
Probably
not.
better than anybody that you've interviewed in a long time. I read a lot. I spend a lot of time with at meetings. Usually it's once a day or at least 2 or 3 times a week. Intelligence.
'Cause this was
meetings.
apparently
talking
in your
about India,
brief.
talking about
Right.
with the problems with China, talking about so many different elements of the world.
Let's talk about Trump's comprehension.
George W. Bush said the reason the Oval Office is round is there are no corners you can hide in.
Well, there's truth to that. There is truth to that. There are certainly no corners. And you look, there's a certain openness, but there's nobody out there. You know, there is an openness, but I've never seen anybody out there, actually, as you could imagine.
What he meant was it all comes back to you.
Sure.
Yeah, it was about responsibility. There's no corners to hide in the Oval Office. Trump literally took the metaphor and thought it was about being shot at from outside the Oval. But he comprehends better than anyone. Certainly better than anyone Jonathan Swan has interviewed in a long, long time.
The world is a very angry place. If you look all over the world, we call up, I see 22 soldiers were killed in India with China fighting over the border. It's been raging for many, many decades. And they've been fighting and back and forth. I have so many briefings on so many different countries. But
He does sound like John Lovitz, the liar. Psychological liar? What was the character? Had something, the liar. Pathological liar? Whatever it was. Yeah, that's the ticket. But someone had put together a Martin Short SNL piece that I think Chris Wilson sent to me, and now it's been deleted. So if anyone has seen that, can find that Martin Short version of this, it's hilarious. Let me know.
But this one didn't reach my desk.
The reason I say this is even if you don't believe this particular piece of intelligence, and there is dispute, no doubt there is dispute in the intelligence community about it, your former, John Nicholson, former head of forces in Afghanistan, said, and this is when he was working for you, that Russia is supplying weapons to the Taliban. Isn't that enough to challenge Putin over the killings of US soldiers?
Well, we supplied weapons when they were fighting Russia, too. You know, when they were fighting with the Taliban.
That's his defense. When somebody does something bad against us, well, we do bad things, too. What the hell is that when you keep preaching about America first? So, well, we did it first. I guess that's what America first means.
In Afghanistan.
It's a different era.
Well, I'm just saying, yes.
But does that... How does that...
It's a different era. Yeah, I'm just saying. No, he's just saying it's a different era. You're not coming back with that.
I'm just saying we did that, too.
But how does that...
I don't know. I didn't ask Nicholson about that. He was there
No, I haven't seen the Liza Minnelli. Put a link in there. We'll watch it.
for a long time. Didn't have great success because, you know, he was there before me, and then ultimately I made a change.
But you surely heard that, right? I mean, it's well known in the intelligence community that they're arming the Taliban, Russia.
I don't know. When you say arming, is
Supplying
the Taliban
weapons.
paying or they...
Russia is...
When you say, Jonathan is great. Oh my God, supplying weapons, arming, supplying. When you say arming, do you mean that they're giving them arms, like maybe prosthetics? Because I know in Afghanistan there's a lot of people with missing arms and legs. Wheelchairs? Are they offering wheelchairs? Giving weapons.
Supplying weapons and money to the Taliban.
I have heard that, but it's never, it's never reached my desk.
I mean, he said it on the record when he was in...
It was in congressional testimony.
Hey, Russia doesn't want anything to do with Afghanistan. Let me just tell you about Russia. Russia used to be a thing called the Soviet Union. Because of Afghanistan, they went bankrupt. They became Russia, just so you do understand, okay?
That wasn't it, but
Russia wants to do is
part of
get
it.
too much involved with Afghanistan. They tried that once. It didn't work out too well.
Last question on this subject.
And by the way, we're largely out of Afghanistan, as you probably know.
Well...
We have more men in Afghanistan right now than we did when Obama left office. By the way, we surged, remember? He had that press conference where he said, you know, usually I go with my gut. And I said, there it is, see? He doesn't go with what his generals and what he admitted he goes with his gut, which is what we've been saying since the beginning, which is why we told everybody, don't vote for this idiot. Usually I go with my gut, and I know I promised to take the soldiers out, but we're going to put more soldiers in. Now there's still, I think, 200 to 300 more soldiers. Who knows? Maybe they flew out 200-300 soldiers in the last 3 weeks. I have no idea. But as of the last time I checked, very recently...
I wanted to ask you about that. The US troop level in Afghanistan right now is roughly the same as it was when
you're wrong. No.
Mr. President...
Thank you. Okay. So Jonathan is just a better dressed, smarter version of me.
I'm sorry. We have to do...
Okay, are you ready?
No.
We'll be down in a very short... It's already planned.
Well, that's...
Yeah, Chris, you sent me that video, but it is gone now, so I think they've taken it down. Let me see if I can see it again. Watch
Look
again.
at some of these charts.
I'd love to.
And we have...
Nope. It is... Oh, let's see if it's there. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Chris Wilson came through here, and we have that video. Give me a second to prep it. And beautiful. Let me pull up YouTube.
And the wishful thinking and...
Okay, here we go. This is the SNL version. It wasn't SNL, but it is a Martin Short. It's an old sketch from SNL, and someone put it together here. Here it is.
Salesmanship is just not suitable at a time when a pandemic has killed 145,000 Americans.
Well, he would say that. He's a scientist.
By June, we knew things were bad.
This is just something you're saying. You're not letting me finish. See, you're interrupting me. Every time I try to make a statement, yes, you do. This is what's called the liberal tactic.
Mr. President.
So you just did it again. Every time Can I say something? Can I speak?
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population.
Oh, brilliant. I love that. Love that Martin Short character. So good news for those of you who have Apple TV, but that's another story. Let's get right back to the Trump interview.
It's a different question.
We'll be down in a very short period of time to 8,000. Then we're going to be down to 4,000. We're negotiating right now. We've been there for 19 years.
I know.
19 years.
But if you just let me finish my question.
We'll be getting out.
I understand. Look, when you came in, it was 8,800. You boosted to 14,000, and now you're back down to 8,500.
We're now...
My question to you...
We'll be at 4,000. I'll give you the exact... Very soon. Very soon.
I'll give you the exact very soon.
4,000?
Very soon, yeah.
Like how soon?
Very soon. Very soon.
What will be the number? Very soon? 4,000?
Very soon, yeah.
Like how soon?
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you.
It's big news.
What is that?
Going down to 4,000, isn't it?
No, I've always said...
Well, what about Election Day?
We will get largely out.
On Election Day, how many American troops will be in Afghanistan?
Oh, good question. Good question, Jonathan. Oh my God, we're only like halfway through this right now. Here we go.
Probably anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000.
That's almost as many as when you came into office.
No, it's not.
8,000.
We had much more. We had a lot of people over there, too.
8,800.
A lot of people. And we did a good job. We wiped
We had a lot of people over there. But troops aren't people.
out ISIS.
Have you thought about going down to zero?
Let me just tell you what you don't say. We took out in Syria, we took out ISIS. We 100% of the caliphate. When I took over...
Different topic.
Obama, it was totally rampant. ISIS was all over the place. We took them out, we captured them, we killed them. 100%, not 99%. I wanted to get out at 99. Everyone said, oh, please, would you stay? I stayed. 99% was good, but 100% of the caliphate. We took out Soleimani. We took out al-Baghdadi. We took out people that nobody thought possible. Al-Baghdadi was the biggest terrorist of them all. They couldn't find him. I took him out. Soleimani, even bigger. I took him out.
You didn't find them. The military intelligence found him.
I've done things that no other president's done.
Actually, the Kurds helped find him. That's who actually found him. And then Trump turned his back on the Kurds and betrayed them, and hundreds of Kurds died.
Fortunately, not too many. They should have never been in the Middle East. The decision to go to the Middle East and get into the Middle East was the single biggest mistake made in the history of our country. That's my opinion.
You told Fox News recently that you couldn't say whether you'd accept the results of the 2020 election. What does that actually look like as the sitting president? I mean, it's unprecedented. What would that actually look
Hillary
like?
Clinton never accepted him.
She conceded on it. She conceded
still
on it.
doesn't accept him, and she got
That's an important
very
point.
easily.
That's an important point. She conceded on election night. Now, she grumbled about it and said all sorts of things.
Grumbled? She wrote books
fine.
about it.
She wrote books.
Don't use the word grumbled.
Fine. But
she wrote books about it.
That's fine, but I'm just...
she got beaten easy.
I get it. I get it.
306 to 223.
I'm
Incorrect.
not disputing you beat Hillary Clinton.
That's a lot.
304 to 227.
Listen, what I'm asking is you'll be the sitting president in the White House. What does that look like? Not accepting.
I'll tell you what it looks like.
Are you litigating?
Let me tell you what it looks like.
Okay.
So we have a new phenomena. It's called mail-in voting, where you send a governor.
New? Jonathan beat me to it. Exactly the word that I was going to use. New phenomena. Do-do-do-do. Phenomena. Do-do-do-do. Phenomenon.
It's been here since the Civil War.
In terms of the kind of million
Yeah, they've been using mail-in voting since the Civil War.
And millions of ballots. They've never.
It'll be bigger this year because of the pandemic.
Bigger, not bigger, massively bigger.
Yeah, because
That massive and bigger are the same.
So they're going to send tens of millions of ballots to California, all over the place. Who's going to get them? I have a friend lives in Westchester County.
they send applications, not that.
His son passed away. He had a beautiful, wonderful son, young man, passed away 7 years ago. He called me. He said, "I just got a ballot
Probably an
for my
application.
son Robert.
Probably
He died 7 years ago. Somebody got a ballot for a dog."
Let's not have the dog or Robert vote because that's illegal and they could end up with 5 years in prison.
Somebody got a ballot for something else. You got millions of ballots going. Nobody even knows where they're going.
Everybody knows exactly where they're going. They're going to active registered voters. I'm in California now. I just registered on Sunday. I actually looked into it, and once again, it is shown that they go to active registered voters. If you haven't voted in the last couple of elections, you don't get a ballot. And in most states, he's right, Jonathan said that you get an application to get a ballot.
You look at some of the corruption having to do with universal mail-in voting.
None.
Absentee voting is okay. You have to apply. You have to go through a process.
You have to apply.
I had to apply and go through a process to get my mail-in ballot.
Mail-in.
Absentee
It's the
voting
same
is
thing.
good.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's exactly the same thing. And it,
Look,
I'll
they're
give-
sending
you know what he should say to that?
Do concrete. Let's do concrete.
Jonathan, they're sending out
Applications.
governors
Download them.
millions of ballots.
No, they're not.
There
It's
is-
applications. You can get them
There
off the
is
internet.
no way you can go through a mail-in vote without massive cheating.
I honestly don't understand this topic.
I have to double check that. David, you're in here. You might have some information on this. Like in California, I think they're actually sending the ballots even if you haven't registered to vote by mail, not just applications. In some states, they're sending out applications, and Trump has railed against those states already. So their applications, Michigan, for example, application goes out, and then you fill the application, you send it back, and then you get the ballot. They're not just sending out ballots blindly. In some states, they may be, well, in no states are they sending them out blindly. Some states, they may be sending out the ballots unrequested, as long as the person is an active voter. I don't know, but if somebody could check that, that'd be great.
Go ahead.
The Republican Party
Oh, okay, so Jonathan did have to walk it back. Thank you, Stephanie. So everybody stop checking.
has an extremely well-funded vote-by-mail program.
So you gotta... Okay, here's the thing. I'm like, Jonathan, you should have known that. You should have... I mean, come on. I know that. And if I'm nobody. But I know that, yes, I do have a tremendous number of patrons who are probably the best people in the world. I have a chart. You can see right here that I have... So my patrons, right up there, those are my patrons. See? Then no other YouTuber has as high a quality of patrons. This guy here, that's right wing. Those are lousy patrons. This guy here, see, but if you look at my patronage, by far the best patrons. But I look at it and I say, oh, Jonathan's done so fantastically on this. Almost. This is your, oh, and then you made that mistake. Oh, man. Whether Jonathan is 100% right or 98% right or 50% right in this interview, nothing will change because Trump. Jonathan has been spitting facts and figures in his face this entire interview, hasn't fazed him a bit. His reality is what he makes it, and that's all there is to it. David says, on May 8th, 2020, Newsom issued an executive order which orders that a vote by mail ballot be mailed to each voter prior to the November. Okay, so yes, states are sending out directly mail-in ballots. Thank you for the fact check, David.
Your campaign puts out emails telling people to vote by mail.
Correct.
Your daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, she did robocalls in California saying it's safe and secure, mail-in voting.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, the Trump campaign until recently has been pushing the idea of mail-in. Republicans have been pushing mail-in voting for decades because old people tend to use the mail and old people have tended to vote Republican. And right now, Biden is up by more than 10 points in the old people category.
The Republican
We have
won.
no choice.
That was an all-mail-in race.
Let me tell you. You ready?
Yeah.
We have no choice because right now we have many court cases that we're waiting. We have one filed in Western Pennsylvania. We have many court cases where we're trying to end it.
They only, in California, they only send ballots to active registered voters. You have to have voted in the last 2 elections.
We went through...
Could be the last 2 presidential elections. The 2. 2 is the number.
World War I, you went to the polls, you voted. We went through World War II, you went...
Yeah, World War I, you went to the polls, you voted. Okay. We didn't have a pandemic until 1917.
Went to the polls, you
had mail-in voting.
World War II, not in America, unless maybe if you were on the West Coast and you were worried there was going to be another Pearl Harbor.
Because of the China virus, we're supposed to stay home, send millions of ballots all over the country, millions and millions. You know, you could have a case where this election won't be decided on the evening of November 3rd.
Absolutely.
This election could
What's
be
wrong with that?
decided 2 months later.
Good.
What's wrong with the proper mailing
It could
count?
be decided many months later.
Have you discussed...
What the question should be, what's wrong with counting the votes of the American people? What do you have against American people voting? Oh, crap!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Captain's Quarters.
Sorry.
It's August.
Sorry. Boy, that's the Canadian me coming out. That's why I'm not allowed to vote. Sorry. Hold on. Let's see if I can go back here. History. Get me back to that one. Hopefully it starts up where we ended off.
That the wishful thinking and the salesmanship
Okay, we're going to have to go
suitable
forward. Sorry, guys.
at a time when a pandemic has killed...
Here? Oh, wait. This is, you know, we should just watch this one again. This is not it, obviously. Give me a second. And here we go. This is the real one.
You know why?
Oh, here we go. Good. Okay, we're back where we were.
3rd.
Absolutely.
This election could
What's
be
wrong with that?
decided 2 months later.
It won't be 2 months, but what's wrong with the proper
It
mailing
could be
count?
decided many months later.
Have you discussed...
You know why? Because lots of things will happen during that period of time, especially when you have tight margins. Lots of things can happen. There's never been anything like this when you try. Now, of course, right now we have to live with it, but we're challenging it in many courts.
You're going to
as you know,
litigate.
all over the country.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is." Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a
Well, first
person
of all,
well?
I don't know that, but I do know that.
She has. She's been arrested.
I don't know that. How can he not know? I don't want any news about Jeffrey Epstein. I hate it. I don't want Ghislaine. I just despise all of it. But I know that she's been arrested. And if Jonathan Swan just said it, like, why would Jonathan Swan? It makes no sense that he would make that up. But first off, I don't know that.
Arrested for that. You know
Her
that.
friend or boyfriend
Epstein.
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that
Oh,
she's
so you're
guilty?
saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
I mean,
they
she's a
made it
child
such,
sex, alleged child sex
such a
trafficking.
big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
Let's move to Portland.
So Hillary Clinton peddling kids in the basement of a pizza place that doesn't have a basement. Crooked. Terrible, terrible things. I hope she gets hit with a golf ball. But Ghislaine, who we know that Maxwell, well, it hasn't been proven yet in court. But come on. Child sex ring. Wish her well, wish her well. I don't know that he's ever wished Hillary well.
I'm sure you've seen the disturbing footage of people in fatigues beating the Navy veteran.
No.
Well,
here you go.
it's there.
The fake news.
It's not fake news. It's on video.
For
Pepper spraying
59
him.
days, these people were anarchists and agitators and some protesters.
not the Navy veteran. He went down there specifically to talk to them in his Navy sweatshirt, thinking like, hey, I'll have just a conversation with these guys. They'll respect the fact that I'm a vet.
But these were anarchists. Okay. These people were beating the hell out of the city. They were beating up our federal buildings and our federal courthouse. We told the police to stop it. You make sure. And the police wouldn't do it. Not the police.
Your own Justice Department and Homeland Security Inspector Generals.
Excuse me.
But your Inspector Generals are investigating unconstitutional.
You're trying now to blame law enforcement instead of anarchists. Instead of Antifa.
I'm not.
It's Antifa and anarchists that are...
The Navy vet is not Antifa.
Causing the problems, not law enforcement. Our law enforcement, if we didn't have people at our courthouse, and they're strong, tough people, and they don't want, they try and be very good, believe me, but if we didn't have people...
If I was interviewing, I'd be doing, excuse me, just do that the entire 30 minutes.
There.
And he would eventually get up and walk away. Last time he was challenged like that, let's take a look at what happened there. I'll find it in a second. I pulled up the other one already. Remember the little comprehension video about there being no corners in the Oval Office? This is how that interview ended.
I have my own opinions. You can have your own opinions.
But I want to know your opinions. You're the President of the United States.
It's enough. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So much work. So much busy work. That's how people work. They pick up the papers. So much busy. It's like the interview cuts off there. Dickerson, that's the end of it. But at some point, the sound guy's like, "Sir, you're wearing our on your lapel. You've got our microphone, right? We need to." The president of the United States. This was like 2 weeks into his first term. God, do you see what I just said?
You would have your federal courthouse, $600 million building.
Federal what?
You would have people there. You would have your federal courthouse, $600 million building.
What is a courthouse?
You didn't have people there. You would have your federal courthouse, $600 million building. You would have people there. You would have your federal courthouse, $600 million building. You would have that thing burned to the ground.
I'm asking you about tactics and about the unmarked vans where they're rounding people up. And
let me tell you about
just finish my question?
Well, let me tell you about
Could I just finish my question? Because it relates to this, I promise. This is from Rand Paul. Quote, "We cannot give up liberty for security. Local law enforcement can and should be handling these situations in our cities, but there is no place for federal troops or unidentified federal agents rounding people up at will." What is your response to Senator Paul?
First of all, these are Homeland Security people. They're securing a courthouse.
They're Border Patrol.
They're Homeland Security.
Elite units.
Border. Hopefully they have
Camo,
ice in there. Hopefully they have ice. Now, do you know why they're unmarked? Because these terrorists, these Antifa people, these people that are anarchists and agitators, when they see the name on a uniform of a person, a policeman or law enforcement person, they find out where that person lives. And then they go and they scare the hell out of the person's family. And so they do it for that reason. It's just common sense. There's nothing secret about this. And you know it. You see it, what's going on right now. We have Chad Wolf. They have people. He's doing a fantastic job. He's the acting head. He's doing a fantastic job. Chad Wolf has pickets outside, very dangerous-looking people outside of his house. He's going to be just fine. He's tough and he's got people. But if you have the names on all of these uniforms, you'll have these maniacs in front of their houses scaring their family and their wives or husbands, whatever it may be. I think it's a very good reason not to have your name. Why should you have identification? My name is Bill Smith, and here's where I live, and I'm a member.
No one has their address on their police badge. That is not the way it works.
The serious concern is the reports of people being rounded up and not being told why they're being detained. That's what's being investigated by Mr. President. The inspectors generals. The inspectors generals.
You know why they're being detained? Well, yeah.
There's an investigation. Do you support that investigation?
Well, I haven't seen the result yet.
But do you support the initiative of it?
So, whether he supports the investigation depends on the results of the investigation. It's really not how it works.
I think Antifa should be investigated, not the law enforcement. They're investigating.
They shouldn't be investigating.
Have you been watching television?
I have.
Have you been seeing the violence?
Sure.
Now, if you watch NBC News, like I watch NBC fake news, I'm watching it, Lester Holt, real beauty, and I'm watching this NBC News sham, and you have a mayor named Wheeler, and he's standing out there, and he's being accosted by the people. You know that. It's horrible what they're doing to him. Portland, the mayor of Portland. And he thought he'd go out, he'd be what they were doing and saying and everything else to him, I happened to watch it on a different station. He had to get out. He had 5 security guards. He got out with his life. Okay.
Mr. President.
If you watch NBC News, they make him like he's standing there bravely fighting with the people in a positive sense, that everything is wonderful. No. He went out there. He's lucky he got away with his life because they would have killed him. He had 5 guards, but NBC News showed it like he's standing with the people for justice. Look, those people, take a look at what they've done to the courthouse. Take a look at what they've done to the streets. Take a look at the violence.
It's getting worse since they've gone in.
It's getting better. We've arrested a lot of people, and we now have a 10-year rule. You try and knock down our courthouse.
More businesses damaged, more violence.
You touch our courthouse, you go to jail for 10 years.
Turning to the rest of the country, we haven't seen protests like this since the 60s. I mean, we're seeing...
These are Democrat-run
if I can finish my question.
cities.
If I can finish my question.
And they're doing it for political reasons.
You said you've done so much for African Americans.
I have.
But there are Americans...
Justice
I understand.
reform, opportunity...
But let me finish. There are Americans out in the streets asking for change. Mr. President, have you ever met with a Black Lives Matter activist to hear them out, hear their arguments?
Well, Black Lives Matter started off, to me, very badly because it was...
Did you ever meet with one?
Pigs in a blanket, burn them like bacon. That was the first time I ever heard of it. That was 3-4 years ago.
Right.
Pigs, meaning policemen. Pigs is...
Meaning policemen. Let's go back just for a second here. He was talking about NBC not mentioning that the Portland mayor was being booed like he was a man of the people and all the people were favorable of it. I actually have the NBC broadcast from that night. He talked about this the other day. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, let's go back a little bit on this. And here is Trump again claiming that NBC, because their fake news, wouldn't cover the fact that they were booing the mayor.
NBC Nightly News, not even MSDNC. I'm watching NBC Nightly News, and if you watch that, it looked like he was a man of the people, the mayor. They would have ripped him apart. It just shows you, you need some help from the media. You need a little fair help.
Wheeler, who's also Portland's police commissioner, was booed by protesters who criticized his leadership of Portland's police.
Booed by protesters who criticized his leadership of the Portland police. And that was on the NBC Nightly News that night. That's what he was talking about. Little help from the media. But again, if it doesn't fit his narrative that NBC is the enemy of the people, it doesn't exist in his world. Must be nice. God, I wish I could live like that. Maybe I am. Maybe we're all living like that. Maybe we just don't see things with which we disagree. Let's get back to Trump.
What they're referring to.
Yeah, he says MSDNC all the time. That's what he calls it.
A blanket, fry them like bacon.
Yeah.
I thought it was... So I got off to a bad start. I got off to a very bad start.
Would you meet with a Black Lives Matter activist?
I would, but I think right now when they paint...
Why haven't you?
When they paint the sign, nobody's asked for a meeting. Nobody's ever asked me for a meeting. Let me tell you, with African Americans, I'm doing very well. They had the best employment numbers they've ever had. They had the best job numbers they've ever had. They were making more money than they ever made. We were all set until we got hit by China with the virus. Jonathan, we were becoming a very unified country.
Do you believe
because of success?
I understand. Do you believe, though, Mr. President, that many police treat black people differently from white people?
Well, I hope not. I hope not. Certainly
You've seen the statistics.
The knee on the neck was a disgrace, okay?
Yeah.
It was a disgrace.
I'm talking about, what does systemic racism mean to you?
I hope the answer to that question is no. Does anybody really answer that question accurately?
But what about not hope? What about analysis? What's your cold-hearted view
I have seen where there is a difference, and I don't want there to be a difference. I don't like that there would be a difference. But with that being said,
why do you think black men are 2.5 times?
White people.
I know, but why do you think black men
in a larger number
in quantity
police have killed white people?
But why do you think black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than white men?
That I don't know, but
why?
I don't like it.
But you must have thought about it.
Why? I don't know why, but I don't like it. I do know this.
Does it speak to
that
something
police
systemic?
Have killed many white people also.
But proportionally, what does it speak to?
It speaks to something, if that's the number, you're telling me a number. Okay, if that's the number, it speaks to something that to me is unacceptable.
And what do you do about it then?
Well, I think we've already done a lot of things.
But you haven't, it still exists.
Let me just tell you.
No, I understand your achievements. I know what you're going to say. I'm not suggesting you haven't done a lot
I've done
economically.
a thing called criminal justice
I get it.
reform.
I'm just saying what changes.
President Obama couldn't get
It's not my
done.
friend.
He
I'm
tried,
asking about that
he
statistic.
Tried, but he couldn't get it done. I got criminal justice.
I get it.
I got opportunity zones. I took care of the historically black. You know, if you look at what I've done for colleges, for black colleges and universities, I got them funding. Obama never did it. I did more for the black.
Obama literally started it in 2010. I don't know if Jonathan's going to correct him on that, but that piece right there was brilliant. Well done, Jonathan.
Black community than anybody, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. Whether you like it or not, people say, "Oh, that's
you really."
And Johnson with the Civil Rights Bill.
You believe you did more than Lyndon Johnson, who passed the Civil Rights Act?
I think I did, yeah.
How?
Because I got criminal justice
did you
reform done. I got prison reform.
Look at that look on his face. Jonathan's doing a fantastic job here. I want to take Jonathan out for a beer when this is all over. And I'm not going to have beer because I don't like beer.
And whether you like it or not.
I will buy Jonathan Swan a meal. Jonathan, if you're watching this and you're ever around where I am, I'll buy you a meal. Hell, I'll send you a gift card. That's what you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take $25 out of the money that you people send to me. I'm going to figure out how to send Jonathan a gift card. For where should we send Jonathan? Should we make it 50? Let's make it 25. Let's not go overboard. Let's send him a $25 gift card for a restaurant. Guys, where should we send him a $25 gift card for? Is he married? Somebody figure out if he's married. If he's married, we'll send him a $50 gift card.
People say, "Oh, that's
you really you believe you did more than Lyndon Johnson, who passed the Civil Rights Act?"
I think I did, yeah.
How?
Because I got criminal
did
justice reform done.
Look at that. Just this. How? Jonathan, you're all of us. Just that look. Outback? Okay, that's one vote for Outback from Chris. Send him for $18. You would say that, Dr. Howard.
I got prison reform.
Lyndon Johnson.
I've done things.
He passed the Civil Rights Act.
How has it worked out? If you take a look at what Lyndon Johnson did.
You think the Civil Rights Act was a mistake?
How has it worked out? Because frankly, it took a long time. But for African Americans, under my administration, Jonathan, under my administration,
how have I not heard about this? He's saying that the Civil Rights Act, it hasn't worked out well for the black people. It was a mistake. How is this not the lead?
African Americans were doing better than they had ever done in the history of this country. So I did a lot. Job numbers, all of the money. They had money. They were getting great. Their percentage was up. Their housing ownership was up. They did better than they've ever done until we got hit. And now, you know what we're doing? I'm building it up again. We're going to have it. Next year will be a great year, unless it's screwed up by somebody that doesn't know what he's doing, which could happen, but I don't think it will.
John Lewis is lying in state in the U.S. Capitol. How do you think history will remember John Lewis?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know John Lewis. He chose not to come to my inauguration. He chose. I never met John Lewis, actually. I don't believe.
Do you find him impressive?
I can't say one way or the other. I find a lot of people impressive. I find many people not impressive. But I didn't go.
Do you find his story impressive?
He didn't come to my inauguration. He didn't come to my State of the Union speeches.
All right, we'll send Jonathan Swan $50. I'll figure out how to get it to him.
And that's okay. That's his right.
But where should we send it? So Outback is one choice. If he lives in Washington, we got to make sure they have an Outback in D.C. You know, we got to send it to somewhere that, boy, if we could figure out where his wife likes to go, that would be creepy. So we're not going to do that. Yeah, let's find his address. Find his home address.
And, but I didn't go.
Do you find his story impressive?
He didn't come to my inauguration. He didn't come.
Petty didn't Trump.
To my State of the Union speeches. And that's okay. That's his right. And again, nobody has done more
for
black Americans than I have.
I understand.
He should have come. I think he made a big mistake.
But taking your relationship with him out of it, do you find his story impressive, what he's done for this country?
He was a person that devoted a lot of energy and a lot...
That's it. Let's find a local restaurant. I'm assuming he's in D.C. We can probably find out where he's based. And find like a local restaurant that's struggling, a black-owned business, a black-owned restaurant in D.C., of which there will be many, either that or Northern Virginia. Somebody do some digging on him, but don't like pull up real estate records. See if we can figure out where he's based. We don't often see him in the correspondence room, so I'm not really sure. But see, Axios, it's got to be D.C.
A lot of heart to civil rights. But
Cosmic Pizza. Home of Pizza. We'll get him because he can dine in the basement because that all by himself. I mean, only kids are down there, but kids don't. They're not contagious. So I mean, they're virtually immune.
There were many others also.
There's a petition to rename the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, as the John Lewis Bridge.
Yeah.
Would you support that idea?
I would have no objection to it if they'd like to do it.
Yeah, it's good.
Would have no objection to it whatsoever.
Okay. Mr. President, you've been so generous with your time, and we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Great honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. Well done. Well done, Axios. That was fantastic. Well done, HBO. And well done, Jonathan Swan.